PMA, Positive Mental Attitude. You can achieve PMA and realize your dreams when you follow the proven principles outlined simply and clearly in this step-by-step guide. A view of the Promised Land. In the Bible, we are told that just before Moses reached the end of his life, God led him up to the top of Mount Nebo and showed the great leader the land that was going to belong to the Israelites. Before you begin this journey to take charge of your life, you too deserve a vision of where you are going. You are coming to the end of an old way of living and are soon to embark on a new beginning. Starting now, you will be casting off old, energy-draining, negative ways of looking at the world, replacing them with the irresistibly invigorating life that comes with a positive mental attitude. Carry this image of hope with you, the hope of what PMA will do for you. Imagine from this day on, you will recognize that you have a God-given creative power within you. You will develop control of your emotions so that you can always direct their creative power for your own good. You will eliminate all the negative attitudes that have resulted from your wrong reaction to past experiences. You will overcome your fears, realizing that they have a destructive influence upon your creative power if you permit them to dominate your mind. You will picture only good things happening to you, so that this creative power will be expressed only within a good and positive framework. You will stop brooding over your past failures and tragedies, and stop causing them to be repeated in your life. You will direct your strongest feelings and desires toward the things you truly want in life. You will never knowingly use the creative power of PMA for selfish or evil purposes, knowing that the misuse of it can cause it to destroy you and all that you value. Attaining these benefits, your birthright as a human being, will be your goal. From this day on, nothing can stop you, and the only resource you need is your own commitment to making them happen. Chapter 1. What will PMA do for you?
When failure overtakes you, start thinking of it as if it had been a success. Do you think that would be difficult to do? Yeah. Do you think it would? No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't at all. In other words, thinking of it as what would have happened if it had been a success instead of a failure. Seeing yourself in the success side of the situation and not in the failure side. Start imagining or imaging the circumstances of the failures in your own imagination as being a success. Start also looking for the seed of an equivalent benefit which comes with every failure. And there is where you will be able to transmute the failure into success. Because every adversity, every failure, and every defeat has the seed of an equivalent benefit. And if you go to searching for that seed, you will not take a negative mental attitude toward the circumstance. You'll take a positive mental attitude because you're sure to find that seed. You may not find it the first time you look for it, but eventually you will find it if you keep on.
A positive mental attitude allows you to build on hope and overcome despair and discouragement. By developing and possessing PMA, you will find your state of mind is consistently wholesome, healthy, and productive in your reactions to other people, and in choosing actions that will lead you to whatever worthy things you want in life. It is no wonder that PMA is called the I can, I will philosophy. When you have PMA, you're happy with yourself and with others. You will possess that inner air, that inner light, that inner feeling that allows you to have self-respect and beneficial feelings. You will attract goodwill in circumstances and repel negative ones. The effects of PMA are automatic, but attaining it is not. PMA requires a continual process of application. It is not something to use at your convenience. It is an essential part of the way you live. PMA must become a habit with you, so ingrained that you demonstrate it always. By regular application of PMA, you can practice it without conscious thought, the way you button a button or tie your shoes. It must and can be as natural as breathing. As a road sign in Upper New York State once said, "Choose your rut carefully, you'll be in it for the next 10 miles. Nothing succeeds like success. Who would you rather spend time with? Someone who is pessimistic, suspicious, and sullen, always sure that the only cloud in the sky heralds a hurricane? Or someone who is optimistic, confident, and gregarious, always able to tackle a problem, find a solution, and maximize the benefits? You can see why PMA allows you to win the friendship and cooperation of other people, to overcome any obstacle, and to turn problems into opportunities. We are all ruled by our habits. Whether your habits and their effects are positive or negative depends on your choices. You can choose not to allow your mind to be dominated by negative thoughts. You can make a conscious decision to replace negative ideas and impulses with positive ones whenever they occur. Positive habits will automatically influence your mind to be more alert, your imagination to be more active, your enthusiasm to grow, and your willpower to increase. PMA attracts its benefits like a magnet does iron filings. PMA will attract people, success, and wealth to you. An optimistic outlook is irresistible. PMA shields and protects you from doubts and hopelessness. When adversity comes into your life, and it visits us all, you will be protected from despair and prevented from being overwhelmed by circumstances. In fact, PMA allows you to see any situation more clearly, so that you can turn adversity into potential success by learning from it and using that knowledge to your benefit. PMA is the correct mental response to any incoming stimulus from your senses. With PMA at your command, you think about, act upon, or react to each person or circumstance in the right way. Your mind and your life are yours to do with as you deem appropriate. PMA teaches you to think and act constructively. You can use PMA to bring your wants and desires into reality. When you learn to make the best of what you have, you learn to seize opportunity where others see only a problem. You can put into practice the philosophy of Benjamin Disraeli, the great British Prime Minister. We are not creatures of circumstance, we are creators of circumstance. One way to train yourself to act with PMA is to select a self-motivator, a word or phrase that is meaningful to you and reminds you of your commitment to PMA and the goals you are pursuing. By recalling it to memory often, especially when you find yourself confronting a situation in which PMA is especially called for, you strengthen your resolve to act in the most appropriate manner possible. Choosing a self-motivator. You want a self-motivator that reinforces the key aspects of PMA in your life. If you know you have a particular attitude that you want to overcome, you can tailor your self-motivator to address it. Because your self-motivator will become such an integral part of your life, choose one that reflects your noblest convictions. In this way, you will be reminded and inspired always to act in conformity with them. Your goal is to become a congruent person, making the person you say you are and the person you really are the same. Some suggestions. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. Do it now. What I can conceive and believe I can achieve. Every problem contains the seed of its own solution. How, not if. Victory is won in inches, not miles. I can. I will. Repeat your self-motivator aloud many times throughout the day. Say it with feeling and emotion 50 times before you go to bed. Post it where you can see it. On the mirror in the bathroom, on the dashboard of your car, on your desk calendar, on the refrigerator door, in your wallet. The more you repeat it, the more it and the values it expresses become a habit. Some who nourished PMA. Many people contributed to the development and refinement of the PMA concept. William James, 1842 to 1910, a Harvard Medical School graduate who stayed at the university to teach anatomy, physiology, psychology, and philosophy, helped to develop a system of thought called pragmatism. According to the ideas of pragmatism, results are what count. Thought is a guide to action. If a thought does not result in practical actions, it is not useful. James wrote, "Be not afraid of life. Believe that life is worth living, and your belief will create the fact. The people of James' day respected his theories, and he attracted many followers. He was convinced that life is a battle between pessimism and optimism. James vehemently opposed negative thinking. It fills people with failure and doubt, he said. The universe, according to James, was full of possibilities. People could vastly improve themselves if they only opened their eyes and looked for the mind power they had within them. James believed that each of us decides what our future will be, and that we become what we think about most of the time. The greatest revolution in our generation is the discovery that human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives. Napoleon Hill, 1883 to 1970, was another who carried the PMA baton. Hill made it his life work to interview immensely successful people, deriving 17 principles from this study that he wove into the first practical philosophy of personal achievement. Hill enumerated these principles in various books, including The Law of Success, Think and Grow Rich, and many other self-help books. Hill always found that the men he studied shared a positive mental attitude. He noted about one, Andrew Carnegie had an obsession. He believed that anything in life worth having was worth working for. I believe that anything in life worth having and working for is worth paying for. Willie White, Olympic silver medalist, believes it too. She is the motivator behind Chicago's Robert Taylor Holmes Girls Athletic Program. The program offers 2,500 girls who live in Chicago's South Side public housing complex a way to improve their self-esteem through athletics. When the girls ask White how they can get out of the grips of life in public housing, she tells them, "There are ways. Now my question to you is, what price are you willing to pay for your dreams? A dream without a plan is only a wish." Their self-motivator, believe it, achieve it. W. Clement Stone, a man I worked with for nearly 50 years, an outstanding contemporary author, and a man who accumulated and shared his great wealth by using and mastering these principles, made a profound discovery while co-authoring with Napoleon Hill the book Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. The essence of his discovery was this: the basic principles of success are effective at achieving worthwhile goals only to the extent that they are constantly reinforced and replenished by a positive mental attitude. That principle became the cornerstone of Stone's philosophy and the theme that unified his writings. The stage was set, and PMA dominated the spotlight. As the examples throughout this audio program will show you, PMA is still the hallmark of every person who has achieved lasting success. What is PMA? PMA stands for Positive Mental Attitude. But PMA is more than just an optimistic outlook on life. When you understand it thoroughly and apply it correctly, you will see that it is, in effect, a fourfold process. It consists of 1. An honest, well-balanced way of thinking. 2. A successful consciousness. 3. An all-embracing philosophy of living. And 4. The ability to follow through with the correct actions and reactions. Napoleon Hill defined a positive mental attitude this way: it is a confident, honest, constructive state of mind which an individual creates and maintains by methods of his own choosing, through the operation of his own willpower, based on the motives of his own adaptation. W. Clement Stone added, a positive mental attitude is the right honest thought, action, or reaction to a given situation or set of circumstances, such as thoughts, actions, and reactions, which do not violate the laws of God or the right of your fellow man for those who have PMA. Stone has explained further, you are the product of your heredity, environment, physical body, conscious and subconscious mind, particular position and direction in time and space, and something more, including powers known and unknown. When you think with PMA, you can effect use, control, harmonize with, or neutralize any or all of these factors. You can direct your thoughts, control your emotions, and ordain your destiny. You are a mind with a body. So what is PMA? Examine the meaning of the three words that form the concept of positive mental attitude. Positive. PMA is a force or power associated with plus characteristics, such as honesty, faith, love, integrity, hope, optimism, courage, initiative, generosity, diligence, kindliness, and good common sense. Mental. PMA is a power of your mind, not of your body. Remember, you are a mind with a body. Your control is embodied within your mind. Attitude. PMA depends on the right attitudes, which are feelings or moods. Attitude relates to your basic feelings toward yourself, another person, situation, circumstance, or thing. The three initial letters combined, PMA, stand for the term positive mental attitude. The adhesive that binds all your plus characteristics, the power source that enables you to be a person who can achieve anything and everything, so long as what you desire or do does not violate the laws of God or infringe upon the rights of others. Simply stated, positive mental attitude is the right frame of mind that leads inevitably to the right actions and reactions. PMA is the one stabilizer that you and I need to meet any of life's storms. On a ship, a stabilizer is a kind of shock absorber, a kind of gyroscope device that keeps vessels steady in the heavy seas. I remember one trip on a rough sea, but because of the ship's stabilizer, the trip was most pleasant and in no way uncomfortable. On a similar trip many years ago, the ship had no stabilizer and it was rough, truly rough. But any stabilizer, be it a gyroscope or otherwise, is useless if it isn't used. And so it is with PMA. It must be developed and used. Anyone who doesn't develop a positive mental attitude toward their life and work becomes unhappy. Some even develop psychosomatic illnesses or have nervous breakdowns because they're overwhelmed by any turbulence in their lives. In addition, each of them brings misery to their associates and loved ones. By developing positive thoughts and eliminating negative thoughts, you use an effective natural stabilizer that is far superior to any mechanical gyroscope. You have the power to direct your thoughts, control your emotions, and thus ordain your destiny. How to do it? PMA, the 10-step way. What you will learn here is a simple 10-step formula for developing and maintaining a positive mental attitude. The 10 steps will not simply teach you PMA. They will encourage you to put it into practice, and by doing so, make it a part of your life. There is a Chinese proverb concerning learning. I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. The 10 steps to developing and maintaining PMA require more than your hearing and seeing. They require your action. If you do what is outlined here, PMA will be yours. The 10 steps are intricately interwoven, and each step strengthens the others. Just think, all English literature is composed of only 26 letters. All music is composed from only 12 notes. All colors from only 3 primary colors. Just think, so much from so little. If one letter is eliminated in writing, what happens? What if, for example, you eliminated the vowel A from this program? If just one note is eliminated throughout a concerto, instead of harmony, you have discord. If one of the 3 primary colors of red, blue, or yellow is missing, you won't have the colors you are seeking. If you have all the numbers to a combination safe, but one, you don't enter the safe. It is imperative that you learn and use all 10 steps toward PMA. These 10 steps are the heart of the matter. They are your learn-by-doing keys. Each step includes a learn-by-doing suggestion that will help you to incorporate that particular step into your mental makeup. Each step also includes a short self-test. There is no scoring of these tests. Instead, they are designed to provoke you into examining the ways you are thinking about PMA and to expand your ideas about all the ways it can be applied in your life. At the end of each step, you'll also find words from the wise, inspiring comments from others who have learned PMA's value. A special bonus tip will then show you something concrete you can do to help make PMA work. How you use the 10-step way to PMA is up to you, of course, but here is one method you might follow. Number 1, initially listen to all 10 steps. Number 2, concentrate on one step each day for 10 days, assimilating it into the very substance of your routine. Number 3, repeat the cycle. Repetition is an important aspect of learning, so you might choose to cycle through the 10 steps again and again until you know and apply them intimately and from memory. Another possibility would be to take a week with each step, making its practice part of all your affairs. At the end of 10 weeks, you will be well on your way as a positive mental attitude graduate student, an expert in its application to yourself and to every person, circumstance, and event that comes your way. Fringe benefits of PMA. With the promise that PMA will be yours comes another. The promise that this formula will help you discover an entirely new, wonderful person who now lies dormant within you. You will discover a new, happy, exciting self. By following this formula, you can acquire and keep a joyous and positive attitude at all times throughout your life, even when you encounter problems or difficulties. W. Clement Stone says, "Whenever I have a problem or difficulty in business or any other problem, I say, 'That's good.' And then I say, 'Now what's so good about it?' And then I find out how I can turn these disadvantages into advantages." And if anyone has a real problem, they're very, very fortunate. That is, they're fortunate if they adopt a PMA philosophy. With PMA, if you have problems, you recognize these problems may be blessings in disguise. You will know there is no one who is truly successful who cannot look back and see a period in his life where he had a very serious problem and solved it intelligently. Of course, if you have a serious problem, at the moment you may think you're very unfortunate, but one of the best self-motivators, one that I heartily recommend, is, with every adversity, there is a seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. Put another way, with every disadvantage, there is an advantage. You can experience the enthusiasm and thrill of seeing PMA help you get any worthy thing in life you desire. It requires only your commitment to making PMA work for you. And no matter how strange a way of thinking it may seem to you at first, the more you put it into practice, the more you will reap its many rewards. Why not begin now? Chapter 2. Step 1. Take possession of your own mind with conviction.
Life, you can't subdue me because I refuse to take your discipline too seriously. When you try to hurt me, I laugh, and the laughter knows no pain. I appreciate your joys wherever I find them. Your sorrows neither discourage nor frighten me, for there is laughter in my soul. Temporary defeat does not make me sad. I simply set music to the words of defeat and turn it into a song. Your tears are not for me. I like laughter much better. And because I like it, I use it as a substitute for grief and sorrow and pain and disappointment. Life, you are a fickle trickster. Don't deny it. You slipped this emotion of love into my heart so that you might use it as a thorn with which to prick my soul. But I learned to dodge your trap with laughter. You try to lure me with the desire for gold, but I have fooled you by following the trail which leads to knowledge instead. You induce me to build beautiful friendships, then convert my friends into enemies so you may harden my heart. But I sidestep your fickleness by laughing off your attempt and selecting new friends in my own way. You cause men to cheat me at trade, so I will become distrustful. But I win again, because I possess one precious asset which no man can steal. It is the power to think my own thoughts and to be myself. You threaten me with death, but to me death is nothing worse than a long, peaceful sleep, and sleep is the sweetest of human experiences, excepting laughter. You build a fire of hope in my heart, then sprinkle water on the flames. But I go you one better by rekindling the fire and I laugh at you once more. Life, you are licked as far as I'm concerned, because you have nothing with which to lure me away from laughter, and you are powerless to scare me into submission. To a life of laughter, then, I raise my cup of cheer.
There is only one pathway to a PMA. You must take control of your own mind with conviction. Your mind is one of the great marvels of the universe. Astronomer, mathematician, and physicist Freeman Dyson says about the mind, "It is remarkable that mind enters our awareness of nature on two separate levels. At the highest level, the level of human consciousness, our minds are somehow directly aware of the complicated flow of electrical and chemical patterns in our brain. At the lowest level, the level of single atoms and electrons, the mind of an observer is again involved in the description of events. Between lies the level, where mechanical models are adequate and the mind appears to be irrelevant. But I, as a physicist, cannot help suspecting that there is a logical connection between the two ways in which the mind appears in my universe. I do not feel like an alien in this universe. The more I examine the universe and study the details of its architecture, the more evidence I find that the universe, in some sense, must have known that we were coming." Dyson believed that the mind permeates the universe, showing up at both the level of the least of things and the most of things, in the activity of electrons and the activity of humans. Where the universe and your mind come together, where the least of things connects with the greatest of things, is the point at which you can exercise control of your life and the world around you. Everyone has the same wondrous treasure, a brain and a nervous system. Each person who is normal in the broadest sense of the word has inherited the power to achieve in principle anything in life anyone else has achieved or is now achieving. Your passions, emotions, instincts, tendencies, feelings, moods, attitudes, and habits are all yours to direct to such an end. How you use them is up to you. As with all natural powers, each of these latent abilities has the potential for good, but the use one puts each to can be positive, neutral, or negative. At birth, these powers are latent. They are like new tools in a hardware store, polished and gleaming, ready to be used, but incapable of acting alone. They require a user. As the newborn baby develops into adulthood, the evidence of these functions of the mind becomes apparent in thoughts and actions. From time to time, because of ignorance, fear, or some other unfortunate influence, many of them go unused and become dormant. But no matter what you have done so far in your life, you still have the power and ability to use the tools of your mind effectively and efficiently. You can direct, control, neutralize, and harmonize them, all by developing a positive mental attitude. Your mind has 10 billion cells, give or take a few, twice as many as there are people in the world. These cells are all interconnected, and every one of them is meant to be your servant. Yet the most intelligent of people come nowhere near fully utilizing the available power. Many of the most important people in history had an IQ of no higher than average. Their achievements and greatness were due to their ability to use and direct their mental powers. They had superior PMA quotients. You have unlimited mental capacities, but it is up to you to use this power of your mind to think positively, so that they all work to your advantage. Learn by doing. Take possession of your own mind with conviction. Note, this is the first of the practical exercises provided for you. Take the time, make the time and again, to do the exercises for all 10 steps. Make a copy of the following creed and put it somewhere you will be sure to see it first thing in the morning. Perhaps the bathroom mirror might be the place, or in your dresser drawer. Don't wait to say it until you believe it. Saying it will help you believe it. I believe my mind is my own. I believe I can take possession of my own mind. I believe I can direct and control my emotions, moods, feelings, intellect, tendencies, attitudes, passions, and habits with the intention of developing a positive mental attitude. I will develop a positive mental attitude. Self-test. Answer the following questions honestly. Number 1. You're about to meet with your boss about your raise. How do you spend the half hour beforehand? A. Talking with coworkers to keep your mind off the big event. B. Mentally rehearsing your challenges and hints that you're ready to quit if you don't get the salary increase you want. C. Reviewing the accomplishments you've made in the past year, the ways they have benefited the organization, and your plans for building on them in the coming year. 2. Your daughter has brought home a report card that says she is having trouble in a subject at school. How do you react? A. Tell her, I had the same problem and I did all right. Don't worry about it. B. Tell her that she must spend an extra hour each evening working on the subject, and that until her grades come up, she cannot be involved in any extracurricular activities. C. Tell her that it's good to know about her difficulties early before they become big. Offer to go over her homework with her after she does it, because you know that even if the subject is a tough one, she can understand it with some extra effort. 3. Your next-door neighbor has a new puppy that loves to dig up your lawn. How do you respond? A. Grimace and say, isn't that adorable? B. Threaten to call the dog catcher if you ever see the puppy in your yard again. C. Tell your neighbor what is happening. Suggest that this is a habit that should be stopped before the puppy causes real trouble, and ask what you can do to help. 4. Your business is just getting off the ground when a competitor starts undercutting your prices. What do? A. Decide to tough it out. B. Tell all your customers that the competition cuts corners and will raise prices just as soon as you've been driven out of business. C. Keep your prices the same, but offer better service than your competitor while doubling your efforts to let your customers know how much you value their business. In each of these situations, and in the self-tests following each chapter throughout this program, an A answer represents an attempt to ignore a potential problem or opportunity. It is not a PMA response because it means you accept a situation as something over which you have no influence. Having PMA means that you recognize that your response to a situation, good or bad, is one of the most powerful means you have of achieving success. A B response is the opposite of PMA. In each of them, you are concentrating on the negative aspects of the situation, mentally preparing yourself for conflict and trouble. You are also usually telling other people that you expect them to give you that conflict and trouble. A PMA response does not ignore what is wrong in a given situation, but it realizes that the best way out is to look for solutions, not more problems. A C response is a PMA response. It mentally prepares you for things to go your way, and it tells other people that you know this will happen as well. It is not a response that ignores trouble. It is a response that cuts trouble off at the path. This will require action on your part, usually immediate. But in the long run, it will take less effort than if you had made the problem worse by ignoring it or escalating tensions. Bonus thought for the day. During the day when circumstances, people, or situations threaten your positive mental attitude resolution, use this quick sentence to get you back on track. My mind is my own. I will control it. Here are a few words from the wise to help remind you to take control of your mind. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might. Ecclesiastes 9:10. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. Whatever you do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Johann Goethe. Circumstances. What are circumstances? I make circumstances. Napoleon. It's a funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the best, you very often get it. W. Somerset Maugham. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Eleanor Roosevelt. Chapter 3. Step 2. Keep your mind on the things you want and off the things you don't want.
Do you have any idea, each one of you, let me put this question to each one of you. Do you have any idea of the proportionate amount of your time that you devote each day in thinking of the negative side of things in comparison with the positive side? Wouldn't it be interesting if you kept a tabulation for 2 or 3 days of the exact amount of time you put in thinking about the no-can-do side of life and the can-do side, or the positive side, the negative side? You might be astounded, even the most successful people would be astounded to find out how many hours they put in each day in negative thinking. And the very outstanding successes in the world, the great leaders, are the ones that put in very little, if any, time in thinking on the negative side. They put in all of their time thinking on the positive side. I once asked Henry Ford if there was anything in the world he wanted to do that he couldn't do, and he said no, he didn't believe there was. I asked him if there ever had been. He said, oh yes, back in the early days before he had learned how to use his mind. And I said, well, now, just what do you mean by that? Well, he said, now, when I want a thing, I want to do a thing, I start in finding out what I can do about it, I start doing that, and I don't bother about what I can't do because I just let that alone. That was a homely statement, but I want to tell you there's a world of philosophy wrapped up in that statement. He put his mind into doing something about the part that he could do something about, and thinking about that and not about the part that he couldn't do anything about. I venture the suggestion that if you put a problem to the majority of people, a difficult problem, they will immediately begin to tell you all of the reasons why the problem can't be solved. And if there are some things about the problem that are favorable and some that are unfavorable, the majority of people will see the things that are unfavorable first, and oftentimes never see the favorable side. I don't believe there are any problems in connection with which you can't do something, in connection with which there are not some favorable sides too. I can't think of a single problem that could confront me that wouldn't have a favorable side to it.
Once you take possession of your own mind, you have to keep control of it. And the best way is to keep it focused on the things you want on an index card and carry the card in your pocket as your prescription for worrying. Insert your own words where I read the word blank. Number 1. The best outcome that could happen to my challenge of blank might be blank. Number 2. This could happen. After all, it's very possible that blank could indeed happen. Periodically, ingest a dose of optimism with these rules. Imagine what the desired outcome to your problem would be like. Then play back these thoughts in your mind, gradually internalizing feelings of confidence and courage. Maltz believes that the subconscious mind can't distinguish between a real experience and an imaginary one. To capitalize on this theory, he suggests the following exercise. Establish a designated period each day when you can close your eyes and daydream about your goals. Picture yourself as having already achieved these objectives. Imagine what your attained goal feels, smells, and looks like. When you do find yourself dwelling on negative thoughts, immediately command yourself to stop. Then replace those dismal images with mental pictures of what you really want to happen in your life. Try it. It works. The wonderful feeling that you will experience is PMA. Learn by doing. Chronicle your success. It is important to examine your accomplishments and successes. Reduce to a formula in writing the details of the experiences that helped you to succeed. It is just as important to examine experiences you would not like to repeat. Combining the desirable experiences into a formula will result in methods, skills, or techniques that continuously get results when applied to your personal, spiritual, family, social, business, professional, or civic life. You can develop methods, skills, and techniques that continuously get results when applied regarding any activity, service, or product with which you are concerned. Success is achieved and maintained by those who try and keep trying with a positive mental attitude. You too will find the health, happiness, wealth, and success you seek. Be proud. Be proud of your achievements, your family, your religion, your country, and all that is good. But be modest and have a sense of humility. One can take justifiable pride in achievement that's positive, but boastfulness of that achievement can be negative. In the English language, one word can have many different meanings, both positive and negative, and pride is an excellent example. Pride is a proper sense of personal dignity, worth, honor, and self-respect. This is positive when applied to something of which one can be justly proud. But in the negative sense, pride is listed first among the 7 deadly sins. Proverbs 16:18 says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." Negative pride is an undue sense of one's own superiority, inordinate self-esteem, conceit. In fact, the synonyms for pride in a negative sense are arrogance, haughtiness, insolence, overbearingness, superciliousness, disdain. The antonyms are humility and modesty. Self-test. Consider the following situations. Number 1. You have submitted an ambitious plan to reorganize your department and are about to meet with people who will make the final decision. What do you concentrate on before the meeting? A. Routine details so that your nervousness does not overwhelm you. B. All the tough questions you will be asked and the objections you expect upper management to have. C. The benefits that will arise from your recommendations and how easy it will be to explain them. 2. Your spouse has just been offered an important promotion. The new position will mean increased salary and opportunity for further advancement, but also a greater workload. What do you contribute to the discussion about accepting the job? A. Do whatever you think is best, dear. B. Just remember what happened to the last person who got that job. He couldn't take the pressure and got fired. C. This is a terrific opportunity, and I'm sure you can handle it. You want to go for it, I'm behind you all the way. 3. As head of the local PTA, you are surprised when the popular school principal announces she is leaving to go back to college. The superintendent of schools asks you to serve on the committee to select a replacement. What attitude do you bring to the hiring process? A. Decide that one principal is the same as another and defer to other committee members. B. State clearly that you believe it will be impossible to find someone as good as the last principal and remind everyone that they should expect to hear complaints about whoever they choose. C. Recognize that good principals can be found and that the previous one gives you an excellent standard to use, but that each candidate will have different strengths and the key will be finding the one who is best suited to your school's needs. 4. Your daily commute takes 45 minutes each way. How do you spend the time? A. Listening to music. B. Listening to people complain about everything on talk radio. C. Envisioning what you will accomplish today and how it will bring you closer to your major goals in life. Napoleon Hill once said, "The only thing you can control for certain in any situation is your reaction to it." If you make a habit of adopting an optimistic outlook in every situation, you will find that you are helping to create that outcome by everything you say and do. Every one of us knows that little voice that pops up once in a while and says, "This won't work," or "Failure is just around the corner." You can tame that little voice by concentrating on positive thoughts, but it is persistent, so you cannot simply ignore it. You may think that by changing what you are thinking about, you can make the voice go away. But that doesn't really work. you have to drown it out with a positive voice that says what you know can be true. And you do a great favor to others when you add your positive voice to their thoughts. Don't make the mistake of thinking that adopting a happy outlook is putting on blinders. History is full of examples of people who ignored all the reasons why something was doomed to failure and did it anyway. Robert Fulton, Thomas Edison, the Wright brothers. To use an example from Dennis Kimbrough, the co-author with Napoleon Hill of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. Someone may tell you that the sun has gone down, but they are wrong. The sun never truly goes down. It may be night where you stand, but on much of the earth, the sun shines bright. Only you can choose the attitude you adopt in a situation. If you wallow in the mud of negative thinking, it will stick to you and everyone around you will know. Choose instead to fix your mind on the things you want and the certainty that you will get them. If you have to worry, worry positively. Bonus. Teach yourself the infectious power of happiness by standing in front of the mirror and smiling at yourself. It's okay if you feel a little awkward at first, maybe even better if you're tempted to laugh, because then you will smile for real. But just seeing yourself smile is certain to give you an inkling of the happiness that something so simple can bring. Now imagine what can happen if you share that smile with someone else. Words from the wise on happiness. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine. Proverbs 17:22. Cheerfulness keeps up a kind of daylight in the mind and fills it with a steady and perpetual serenity. Joseph Addison. Give me a man who sings at his work. Thomas Carlyle. Chapter 7. Step 6. Form a habit of tolerance.
You know the best way in the world to make yourself liked by other people?
Yes.
Talk to them about the things that interest them. That's it. And incidentally, if you talk to the other fellow about things that interest him, when you get around to talking about things that interest you, he'll be a receptive listener, much more so. And then tactfulness in speech and manner. Now, you don't have to, in your speech and in your manner, you don't have to reflect by your mental attitude, by your words, everything that goes on in your mind. If you do that, why, everybody, you'll be an open book and everybody can read you at will. And sometimes they'll read you when you wish they hadn't. Tactfulness in your speech and in your attitude toward other people. You can always be tactful. You know, like drivers on the road when the other fellow skins your fenders, and you know how tactful they are when they jump out and run around to see how much damage is done. Maybe 10 cents worth of paint's been knocked off, and they do $100 worth of damage cussing one another out. You know, some of these days I'm going to have the experience of seeing two fellows collide on the highway, and they're going to jump out and apologize, each one claiming it was his fault and wanting to pay the bill. When I do, I don't know what's going to happen to them, but I'm going to see that some of these days. Tactfulness. You'd be surprised how much you can do with people if you're just tactful with them. Oftentimes, instead of telling people to do things or asking them to do things, requesting them to do things or demanding them to do things, it might be very tactful and helpful if you requested them and asked them if they would mind doing things. Even though you're in authority to give them an instruction, it's still better to ask if they would mind doing certain things. One of the most outstanding employers I ever knew that ever gave any of his employees direct instructions. That was Andrew Carnegie. He always asked his associates and his employees, even the humblest, if they would mind doing something for him. Or would it be convenient? Or would it be suitable? Never ordered them to do anything, but asked them always. No wonder he got along so well with people. No wonder he was so successful.
Keep an open mind toward people. Try to like and accept people just as they are, instead of demanding or wishing that they be as you want them to be. Look for the good in others and learn to like people. Many years ago, Napoleon Hill wrote the following essay on intolerance. When the dawn of intelligence shall spread over the eastern horizon of human progress, and ignorance and superstition shall have left their last footprint on the sands of time, it will be recorded in the last chapter of the book of man's crimes that his most grievous sin was that of intolerance. The bitterest intolerance grows out of religious, racial, and economic prejudices and differences of opinion. How long, O God, until we poor mortals will understand the folly of trying to destroy one another because we are of different religious beliefs and racial tendencies? Our allotted time on this earth is but a fleeting moment. Like a candle, we are lighted, shine for a moment, and flicker out. Why can we not learn to so live during this brief earthly visit that when the great caravan called death draws up and announces this visit completed, we will be ready to fold our tents and silently follow out into the great unknown without fear and trembling? I am hoping that I will find no Jews or Gentiles, Catholics or Protestants, Germans, Englishmen or Frenchmen when I shall have crossed the bar to the other side. I am hoping that I will find there only human souls, brothers and sisters all, unmarked by race, creed, or color. For I shall want to be done with intolerance so I may rest in peace throughout eternity. Love and affection generate the mental and physical environment in which PMA can flourish. Every day, do a good deed. It's good advice for Boy Scouts, and it's good advice for us. This is a true story. There was a New England high school student who was an excellent gymnast. He was en route to a championship meet. As he drove over a certain bridge, he noticed a gap in the railing. He stopped and saw a truck in the river below. The accident had just happened. The truck was still sinking, and the driver was struggling to get out. The high school youth took off only his shoes, then dived into the swirling waters below. The truck driver, panicky, couldn't open the door. The high schooler motioned to the driver to roll the window down, but the truck was almost completely submerged. The driver did roll the window down, and the youth, from his years of training and exercise, used every muscle and ounce of strength to pull the driver from the truck. He pulled the driver to the surface and swam to the shore, saved the trucker's life. The gymnast never did show up for the state meet that night, but it didn't matter, for school officials had barred him from the competition anyhow because he had long hair. The moral? Don't judge a man's character by the length of his hair. Acts of human kindness condition you and others for the growth of PMA. To be happy, make others happy. Learn by doing. Form a habit of tolerance. The secret of accepting people for what they are is to act as if you do already. Think of one person you have trouble accepting and write that person's name down. Now, ask yourself, if I did accept that person just as he or she is, how would I behave? What would I actually do? Visualize your answer in concrete terms. Then do it. Most people let their feelings master them. They assume they cannot behave lovingly toward someone, or tolerantly, or whatever, until they have first conjured up the correct feeling of love, or tolerance, or whatever. This is backward. Your new understanding of a positive mental attitude now equips you to realize that you can master your feelings. You can choose to act as though you were feeling whatever you want to feel. The intriguing aspect to this is that the feelings come trotting along obediently afterward. Self-test. Consider the following questions. Number 1. The office next to yours is occupied by a rowdy sales manager. Every time one of her reps makes a sales goal, she whoops for joy and raises a ruckus. The whole office stops working and stares at her. What is your response? A. Keep your office doors shut. B. Tell her she's disrupting office discipline and ask her to find another way to celebrate. Maybe she could send the rep some email. C. Do something that acknowledges her enthusiasm so that you share in every good thing that happens to her. Number 2. Your son announces he is engaged to a young woman whom you meet and like, but then you discover that her parents are actively involved in a political party with aims you heartily oppose. What is your response? A. Do your best to avoid them. B. Tell them that they'd better not bring up any of their ridiculous ideas around you. C. Make friends with them on the basis of your common bond, and realize that you have an opportunity to get to know people you might otherwise never share anything with. Number 3. A petition circulates in your neighborhood to force local officials to do something about a house down the street where the yard is never mowed and garbage accumulates. What do? A. Stay out of other people's problems and don't sign the petition. B. Sign the petition. C. Offer to pay a visit to your neighbor and explain what is troubling people, and ask whether there was anything you can do to help remedy the situation before involving the government. Number 4. A new woman joins your department. She does her work well, but other employees seem to avoid her once a rumor circulates that she is a lesbian. How do you respond? A. Ignore the rumor. B. Tell her what other people are saying and suggest she might be happier working for another company. C. Invite her to lunch and get to know her better. Tell her how pleased you are with her work and ask her to let you know if she has any problems getting along in the office. Tolerance can be a difficult issue, especially given the polarized times we live in. No matter the topic, many people have strong feelings that sometimes overwhelm their better judgment and don't allow them to see the issues at hand. Having PMA does not mean that you have to embrace the principles of everyone you meet, but it does mean that you must take a long, hard look at your reactions to those people. Ask yourself, do my feelings have anything to do with the way I interact with this person? Does issue X relate to selling widgets, being a good neighbor, or living by the golden rule? Tolerance is not a passive part of PMA or any part of life. As the earlier example of Reverend Martin Niemöller in Nazi Germany showed, the forces of intolerance depend on the inaction of good people, as in the A responses. With the B response, your every interaction will be poisoned by the threat of confrontation. And that is a sure way to distract yourself from the positive thoughts you need to cultivate in reaching your goals. Tolerance will not eliminate the possibility that conflict will occur, but if your actions are typical of the C responses, you will have shown other people that you respect them and you can rely on their respect being returned. The differences of opinion between you will likely remain, but who knows? You may gain enough respect from the other person to win a convert to your way of thinking. With PMA, all things are possible. Bonus. The little trick you learned here is also the key to the biblical comment to love your enemy. How do I love my enemy? By acting as if I did already. Lo and behold, the feeling will come afterward. Do you have any enemies you want to try this on? Write down his or her name and try it. Then at the end of your day, consider this prayer. Have you made someone happy or made someone sad? What have you done with the day that you had? God gave it to you to do just as you would. Did you do what was wicked or do what was good? Did you hand out a smile or just give them a frown? Did you lift someone up or push someone down? Did you lighten some load or some progress impede? Did you look for a rose or just gather weed? What did you do with your beautiful day? God gave it to you. Did you throw it away? Author unknown. Words from the wise on tolerance. It takes a wise man to recognize a wise man. Xenophanes. Grant that we may not so much seek to be understood as to understand. St. Francis of Assisi. A great many people think they are thinking when they are merely rearranging their prejudices. William James. Chapter 8. Step 7. Give yourself positive suggestions.
My experience has been that if you want to do something, if you'll work yourself up into a state of white enthusiasm, go to work where you stand, if it's nothing more than drawing a picture in your mind of the thing you want to do, and keep drawing that picture and making it more vivid all the time. That insofar as you make use of the tools that are available to you now to move with, will other and better tools be put in your hands. That's one of the strange things of life, but that's the way it works.
Condition your mind so that it will express a positive mental attitude at all times. You must realize that you translate into physical reality the thoughts and attitudes that you dwell on. You have probably heard the saying, "Tell me what you think about, and I'll tell you who you are." This is an echo of William James' statement, "We become what we think about most of the time." Your subconscious mind can and will communicate to your conscious mind. Concepts, ideas, solutions to problems, all these are offerings waiting to come up to your conscious knowledge. And more, for your mind is a storehouse of powers known and unknown. Your conscious and subconscious mind can work together in harmony only if you learn how to affect your mind intelligently. In their book, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone explain that in order for you to deliberately maintain a positive mental attitude, you must control the external stimuli your mind receives. There are 3 forms of control you can exert: suggestion, self-suggestion, and auto-suggestion. Suggestion. Any stimulus sent through your brain through your 5 senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, or smell, is a form of suggestion. All of these are pathways by which external elements influence you every day of your life. Everything you come in contact with is recorded in your subconscious mind by your 5 senses. As much as it is within your control, see to it that what enters your 5 senses is wholesome and gratifying. Take time for beauty. Self-suggestion. Self-suggestion is the process of purposely and deliberately offering stimuli to yourself in the form of seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, or smelling. Use mental pictures or thoughts as a form of self-suggestion. Under suggestion, you are warned to see to it that what enters your 5 senses is wholesome and gratifying. Perhaps the thought occurs to you, but the world has an unavoidable ugliness in it. This is just where self-suggestion can come into play, and the underlying philosophy of PMA. Look for the good in whatever you see or hear, or taste, or smell, or feel. The more you purposely repeat a message to yourself, and the more emotion and belief you imbue it with, the more effectively it is implanted in your subconscious mind. By building up successful thought patterns, you can put the same great truth to work for you as so many successful people have done. Do successful people know some special secret for living? They look for the funny side of things. From this day on, you will too. From this day on, you will laugh off your shortcomings. From this day on, you will refuse to take yourself too seriously. From this day on, you will constantly cultivate your sense of humor. You will find something to laugh at each day when you feel a need to relax from tension. From this day on, you will try to attract new friends by a more cheerful attitude. From this day on, you will use humor as an aid to the solution of your problems. Auto-suggestion. Auto-suggestion is the transmission and communication of information stored in the subconscious mind back to your conscious mind. This information returns to you in the form of ideas, dreams, feelings, concepts, principles, solutions, and thoughts. When you deliberately feed your mind with good, wholesome thoughts and information, and keep yourself in the proper frame of mind, you are supplying the subconscious with nourishing material to feed back to you. You condition your mind's output by the input you give it. Computer programmers have an acronym, GIGO, that stands for garbage in, garbage out. If a computer gets bad data fed into it, it will produce bad information. Your mind works the same way. Make your mental programming on the basis of NINO, N-I-N-O, nourishment in, nourishment out. And the output is the automatic maintenance of a positive mental attitude. Learn by doing. Give yourself positive suggestions. Suggestion, self-suggestion, and auto-suggestion are matters of habit learned by attention. Suggestion and self-suggestion are the new habits you can build. They are what you feed your mind with. Auto-suggestion is the one that requires attention. Learning to rejoice when your positive mental attitude results in some new thought or feeling. Practice each of them daily. Suggestion. Make it a rule to treat one of your 5 senses to something positive and valuable each day. Study a flower. Visit a bakery and inhale the aroma. Go to a concert or listen to something beautiful on the radio. Taste the full flavor of bread as though it were the only food you would have that day. Feel the texture of bark on a tree. What are you going to do today to feed your senses with positive nourishment? Auto-suggestion. Conscious awareness is the skill you need when it comes to auto-suggestion. Many people take the ideas and concepts and solutions and good feelings they have for granted, but you won't. You will rejoice. Hey, that's just the kind of person you are. Keep a record for a while of the development of a positive mental attitude in you. What good food has your subconscious fed you today? Self-test. Consider the following situations. Number 1. You've just learned that the promotion you very much wanted has gone to someone else. How do you react? A. Get back to working as quickly as possible. Don't dwell on defeat. B. Consider resigning, or at least looking for a job where your efforts will be appreciated. C. Congratulate the other person. Then spend some time reminding yourself of all the things that have gone as you wanted them by reviewing your file of achievements. Number 2. The fight you had this morning with your spouse got out of hand, and you both said some harsh things. You were the first one home at the end of the day. How do you react when your other half arrives? A. Pretend nothing is wrong. B. Insist on hashing things out before another moment passes. C. Suggest a quiet dinner someplace you both enjoy to remind yourselves that you are partners who share many good things. Number 3. You have agreed to chaperone an outing of your church youth group, but at the last minute you find out that it involves rollerblading. You've never been on skates in your life. What is your attitude? A. Show up ready to fall down. B. Back out of the commitment. C. Rent a pair of skates a few days ahead of the trip and do some practicing in your driveway. Number 4. It's your first day in your new office. What do you put on the wall where you can see it most easily? A. Your diploma. B. Your job description. C. Your list of self-motivators and reinforcing thoughts. You must always act to be certain that you are giving yourself the right kind of stimulation to maintain PMA. In any given situation, such as with the A responses, it may seem like bravery not to admit that you need a little reinforcement or encouragement, but this only leaves you out on a limb when upsets occur. PMA is not a passive mental attitude. It is an active one. The B responses are all ways of telling yourself that failure is close at hand, and the more you go looking for failure, the easier it is for failure to find you. The C responses represent taking control of a situation so that you stimulate your mind to think of success, of your ability to achieve things, to ride out and conquer complications. Bonus. Keep a record of each time you notice auto-suggestion working for you. It may provide a solution to a problem or an idea for a new activity. As your record grows longer, you'll have evidence of how your mental attitude is affecting your progress towards success. Words from the wise on positive suggestion. If you treat a person as he is, he will stay as he is. But if you treat him as if he were what he ought to be, he will become what he ought to be and could be. Johann Goethe. What your mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve with PMA. Napoleon Hill. What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? Robert Schuller. My philosophy is that only you are responsible for your life, but doing the best at this moment puts you in the best place for the next moment. Oprah Winfrey. Chapter 9. Step 8. Use your power of prayer.
So your job mainly is to keep your mind positive so it will attract to you the things that you want, the things that you desire, the things that you are going after. Had you ever stopped to think why it is that prayer generally doesn't bring anything about except a negative result? Had you ever stopped to wonder about that? You know, I believe that's the biggest stumbling block of most people in all religions, is they don't understand why prayer sometimes brings the negative results, or why it generally brings negative results. You couldn't expect anything else, because there's a law that governs that. And the law is that your mind attracts to you the counterpart of the things of the things that the mind is feeding upon. There's no exception to that rule. It's a natural law. There's no exceptions for anybody. So if you want to attract through prayer or otherwise the things that you desire, you have to make your mind positive. You not only have to believe, but you have to put action back of that belief and transmute it into faith, applied faith. And you can't have applied faith in a negative state of mind. The two just don't go together.
You may be uncertain about the existence of God, or even convinced that he does not exist. But it will only take a little optimistic experimenting to make you a believer in the power of prayer. It doesn't matter what name you give to the higher power to which you pray, even if it is simply the universe, as long as you admit that the entire world is set up according to an orderly process. You see this process in the fact that the sun rises, that oaks grow from acorns, not from apple seeds, and that the planets, sun, and the stars move through the vast emptiness of space in a regular and predictable pattern. Once you acknowledge the order of the world, you will see that it can be understood, and thus changed by acting within its rules. Prayer is the process by which you acknowledge your place within that order, and begin to prepare yourself to change it. If you acknowledge God and His benevolence, so much the better. But even if you doubt it, and that doubt will not last long, you will still prepare yourself for achievement through prayer. O Father, hear my morning prayer. Thine aid impart to me, that I may make my life today acceptable to Thee. I do not ask to choose my path, Lord. Bless me in Thy way. Inspire each thought, and make me a blessing today. Help us to do the things we should, to be to others kind and good, in all we do in work or play, to grow more loving every day. Finally, brothers, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. When you pray, have faith, and believe in that which you ask for. In every storm that either frowns or falls, what an asylum has a soul in prayer. Archbishop User preached, "We have assurance that we shall be heard in what we pray, because we pray to that God that heareth prayer, and is the reward of all that come unto him." Believe that the Almighty wants to hear all that is on your mind, no matter how small or big a matter it may seem. Our prayer and God's mercy are like two buckets in a well. While the one ascends, the other descends. Prayer is a shield to the soul, a sacrifice to God, and a scourge for Satan. We must also remember that no can be an answer to a prayer. Pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Time spent on the knees in prayer will do more to remedy heart strain and nerve worry than anything else. The simple heart that freely asks in love obtains. Like an echo from a ruined castle, prayer is an echo from the ruined human soul of the sweetest promise of God. Reaching deep within yourself, as you do when you pray, is what opens the storehouse of infinity to you. You can and you will receive direction from God. Call it insight if you must, but the truth is the same. When someone once asked Henry Drummond how one can know the will of God, Drummond opened his Bible and read these directions from the flyleaf.